Good evening. Uh, my name is Jeremy Southard. This is episode 6 of Jeremy Makes Stuff. Um, running a little bit late, running a little behind tonight. Had some trouble getting all my camera stuff set up. Um, gonna pick up where we left off last Thursday. Last Thursday, we were. Let's see if I can move some of this around. Show you here. Last Thursday, we started out talking about designing a thing. I have an old Windows phone that has a pretty nice camera on it, but there's no apps for it anymore, and it's also got a really nice big screen. I also have these um, magnifying lenses that go to this headset that's sort of like a for jewelry or minerals or whatever electronics, that kind of stuff. So the idea is to design and 3D print a stand this side to hold the phone, and the lenses can snap into it, basically to make like a big digital magnifying glass or microscope kind of thing. So right now I have the another camera here on the 3D printer. See if you can see some of this here. Yep. Um, so while background issues here too. While work on the finishing up the model, the printer is going to be running also. So I'm just going to let it run over here on the side since, um, this is all about 3D printing and that kind of stuff anyway. Let's see now. I don't want it to be full screen though. We're going to be working in Tinkercad. So I will stick it off over here to the side, I guess. And before we do that, actually I have to start the print. So right now I have this nice dark green filament, and I've been trying out a couple of different methods of printing. Um, the software I use, Simplify 3D, right here on the screen, as you can see right here, has a base mode. The properties went over. Here under layers, it's a single outline corkscrew printing mode, and then in parentheses base mode. So this is pretty cool because what this means is you can take a solid model and it'll just do an outside line of it, an outside shell. Um, I have a few things I've printed like this so far, but none of them are up here in the office. Um, so what I want to do is find. Okay, first, open up another copy of Tinkercad. So I've found this model on Thingiverse. It's the I Dream of Genie bottle, but it's not just the full bottle. All right, it's the bottle, but there's a topper on it so you can open it. So I'm gonna print one in green, but first I need to merge the top layer, the two models together, so that it'll print as a single print instead of two separate ones. So, and as we talked about before, Tinkercad likes to name stuff funny. This is Cool Jagob, but I'm gonna call this merged genie bottle. And I'm going to upload the two files, which are downloads. You can find them. What's it called? Genie bottle and stopper cork thinner. So Genie bottle, import, and also it's really large, and I can't. Let's see, it looks like my video is freezing up a little bit while this is importing the file. Let's see. I wonder if I have any programs installed locally I could use instead of Tinkercad, because these are some. They're not giant files. Total, it's only 30 megabytes. 30 megabytes. The browser rendering a 30 megabytes worth of 3D models might be tough. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, there's the model. Like I said, it's bigger than my printer. Rotate this 90 degrees. Come on. There we go. And I think I'll scale it in the and simplify 3D instead of here, just because I'd rather have it full size, so later if I get a bigger printer, I don't have to remake the file or adjust the file. I'd rather just adjust it in the slicer. So let's see if I can find the file again. Ah, there it is. Okay. Rubber cork thinner. Drop that in. Shapes mesh is too complex. It's limited to 300,000 triangles. Okay, well, looks like we'll get to try a different way then. So I am to there's a way to delete this here. That's just design stuff. Yeah, I'll close the window. All right, I do have another program on my machine called Wings 3D. Pull this up. That's all this stuff. So that, because that's okay. Opening the other window. Wings 3D. Well, Wings 3D is a interesting little 3D modeler. Down here in the left bottom corner, which is behind me, here it has the contextual controls of what you're seeing right now, which is pretty cool. So, like to Alt and the left key to tumble moves the camera around, and then once I'm in that mode, and shift to other things based off of the what the contextual control menu says down there in the status bar. But let me see now. I want to import. I have an STL file. Yes, stereolithograph. And downloads. One at a time. All right. Genie bottle. Loading, loading. Still loading, still loading. Uh, this will work. Oh, done. All right. Let's see it. Whoa, that's a big one. So you can see the fine detail. Alt left of the mesh. Um, Wings 3D. Oh, there's a genie's view. Haha. Wings 3D is has a few more features that Tinkercad doesn't. I mean, it's a different program, right? It's actually a program for on the machine as well. It's not just in the browser, but it's got some neat features. I might do a episode playing around in it sometime. Let's see, track over here. Now I want to import the topper. That one's a little bit smaller. Now I have imported models into Wings 3D before, then exported them again, and then back into Tinkercad. As like I said, there's a few additional features in Wings 3D that Tinkercad doesn't have, and once it got back to Tinkercad, um, there were a few more faces that weren't there before. Let's see if I can fix my background. Nope, other way. This way. Yep, maybe. Ah, good enough. See right there. Okay. So when I've done this before, like I said, the sometimes there were additional faces that weren't there before in Tinkercad, like make a tube with a cube attached, import it into Wings 3D, use some of the tools there, export it, open it back up in Tinkercad. There, the faces were, some of them were split, not like with gaps or anything, but like a single plane that was there before is now actually two, and stuff like that, just because of the way the different programs translate the different information in the STL file or whatever object file. Um, so we'll see how this one turns out. Like I said, I've printed one copy of this so far, but without the topper. So I'll merge these two, start that printing, and then we'll go back to um, the design of the electronic magnifying glass. So pardon me. Okay, it's still importing. See, well, while that's importing, oh, you finish? Right. Did see here. Okay, so it just imported at the 000 coordinates. So let me grab it. Oh, not a face. I want to grab the object. And okay, got it. Oh, this one. Come on, right there. And move along the y-axis. There's a lot of faces here, so it's. Oop, I think I went way too far. Hard to see where it's at. Yeah, there's a lot of faces here, so the application is having to process a bunch of stuff. Plus, the computer is using some resources broadcasting the video. All right, hold on, just cancel that. Okay, there's a geometry graph over here. Oh, come on. There we go. Let's see. If I hide, That was crazy. Okay, yeah, cool. So I hid the bottle piece, and now I just have the topper piece for now. And move that on the y-axis. And I'm going to hit tab to enter in a value instead of trying to move it with my mouse. And it's looking for numeric input. I don't really know where it's at here because it's just 0, 0. So I'm just going to guess and put in 20 and see how far that moves. Okay, that wasn't very much. So I could probably put in like 150. It's so hard to see it because it's so big in the program. Okay. Let's try that again. On the y-axis, actually 150 is probably not enough because the whole bottle is way up there. So my input. Oh, it's over. Go. I don't know. Let's go 250. I'll zoom back out and wow, that looked like it barely moved. Okay, now it's gone. Open this guy. All right, so it's way up there now. Bring this one back and see where it's at. I shouldn't have clicked twice. Processing, I bet. Whoa. Oh, someone just subscribed. Heard the sound. That was loud. It scared me. Thank you, new subscriber. Sydney Torres has subscribed. If you're watching this live, feel free to say hi in the chat. Oops, I don't want to yell in the chat. Say hi in the chat if you have any questions or comments, criticisms, whatever. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to come on. Display the other STL object. Let's see. See, it's starting to appear there. Okay, so yeah, I went way too high there. So I'm gonna bring this back down, try and match this up because we want to put it together, make a single file, send it to the printer. Oh, that's kind of cool. So the printer is to my left, but also on the screen, it's to my left. Okay, so move this down. Saving renumbering. Come on, program. So Wings 3D is a free program you can download. It's from wings3d.com, I believe. You can do Google search for it. This particular model I found on Thingiverse, thingiverse.com, and they're pretty big. So it's doing pretty good here. Working with them. It's not really locking up the machine, which is nice. Let's see. In the chat, it says okay. I'll check that in a second, Sydney. And see. Okay, here we go. Now let's see. If it was down here and we move 250, I'm gonna go about half that. Let's go minus 125. That wasn't enough. Oh, maybe it was. Also, the machine I'm using here has the maximum amount of RAM possible for the motherboard, but that is only 16 gigabytes. So I'm hoping, oh, I moved both of them down by 125, I think. That's not cool. Oh yeah, here in the geometry graph, it showed I had both of them selected. Um, so this is moving a little slower with the giant files and also streaming. Okay, new entry. So they both moved down 125, so I'm going to move just the vase up 125. I didn't expect for this to take this long. That's close. And get these two merged, get it printing, get back to the other project. Let's see here, and track a little bit up. And again. Ooh. Y-axis. So that was 125. I don't know, I'm touching the screen. You can't see what I'm touching. It was 125 from it was below the plane, and it moved up quite a bit. So I'm going to guess another, I don't know. Let's try 25 and see what happens. Sydney asked, what's your GPU like? That might speed it up. I've got some graphics card of some sort. I don't remember. It's been a while. Built this machine. It's been maybe 6 years now. So, right, that was close. Put up some more. So I'm not sure. I know that I definitely need some more RAM for some video editing I'm working on, and it's. I think the CPU is an i3, so that could be better too. It's probably about time to get a new machine. Um, I don't really play a lot of games on it, but the games I have are older, so they sort of work out. Let's see. If I go another, I don't know, 15. Let's see how this works. Uh, that's pretty close. Let's see. I'll look up. Let's go back over here. And dream a genie bottle. We have an image of it and see how far off the cap is supposed to be. Oh, that looks pretty good. It has the. Oh, that's weird. Nah, it's an animated GIF. But yeah, it's about right. Good enough. All right. Now let's see if I can export the entire thing as another STL file, and hopefully I'm doing export, not export selected. Hopefully it'll have both of them in there. I'll call this genie bottle combined. Wow, did it export that fast? That's cool. Slicer back up. And import. Okay, I thought that was too fast. There it goes. Okay. Let's see. Does this program have render slaving like Deadline and 3ds Max? I don't believe so. Um, this program's been around for a little while. It's written in Erlang. Um, I think the original developer is from like Austria or something. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But I don't think it does. But there could be other advanced features. I tend to use it once every like 2 or 3 years, and if I'm playing around with something with an idea, um, it's easier to make more sort of low poly organic looking models with it than with Tinkercad. It is not open source, and it's not on GitHub. Again, as far as I know, last I checked, but it is free. Um, at some point, I think it might have been SourceForge project, but I'm not 100% sure. So that was about 30 megs worth of STL files that we imported, moved around, and now exporting. And who knows how big it's going to be when it comes out or what additional stuff it did to it. It might be too big, might be giant. I have to scale it down a lot more. Let's see. Still going. Okay, well, while that's running, let's look. I believe it was wings3d.com. And it's talking. Oh, okay, it is open source. I was incorrect there. Um, and it's free to use personal and commercial projects. There's a bunch of documentation. There's also a bunch of videos on YouTube. There's several different people that do tutorials and stuff. The gallery is pretty cool here too. It's a cool snake render. Let's see, there was another. Yeah, this hand is pretty cool. All the detail around the knuckles and stuff. It's a pretty neat little program. And see the downloads. Okay, the downloads are here now. I think it used to be on SourceForge. Yeah, okay, yeah. So SourceForge still has a project here, but it's the must be like a backup or something. But you can see it's been around for a while. Way back here in 2001 with uh, Subversion 1. And now I believe it's 2.1.7. So it's updated in May. But yeah, it's a pretty cool little program. Big list of features here. Different localizations. But the best thing I like about it is how easy it is to use just these standard tools: move, scale, rotate, extrude, bevel, bridge, cut, and weld. Um, Tinkercad actually is missing. I guess it's not missing. They just don't have extrude, which I find to be kind of annoying about it. Extruding is makes things a lot easier. So like um, in some other programs, you can draw a line and then import the line and then extrude the line. Um, with Wings 3D, I'm not sure if you can import a line like that, but you can start with like a cube or a sphere and select faces and extrude them out and make these really cool looking intricate designs and stuff just by extruding, scaling, you know, beveling, all these different little things. And this is still exporting. Do, 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 do. Right? Well, let's see. It's over here again. So, hopefully this will finish soon. So, all right, while that's running, I'm going to take a few measurements again. Had some measurements previously with the design worked on here, wrote down a few things, and last Thursday it got to about 11:30, and it had been a long day, and I was really tired, and math stopped working for me. But we got to the point where there's the window. Got to the point where I have the base, have the hinge, have the pin, have the wing nuts. We'll actually end up printing two of those, and working on the top part. There's a hole here in the bottom to charge. So let's see. I'll go to this camera. Maybe. Yep. There we go. So this phone, old Windows phone, nice big camera on the back here. The design here has a hole right here where this camera is going to line up, and the lens is supposed to snap in there, so it just goes over the camera like that. And the problem I ran into at 11:30 last Thursday night was after I made some measurements, I couldn't figure out the proper placement on this stick here to get the the lens hole. So I'm gonna think through this again. The phone to the center of the oops, to the center of the camera lens here was 124.5 millimeters, and it's 18.25 millimeters in diameter. So this piece right now, the ruler back up, is 124 and some change. So that piece right now is long enough to reach the center of the camera lens hole. And the bottom of this piece is actually lined up with the little tray where the base of the phone will stand. So, it's 124 millimeters up, and then we want to come down half of that because that's the center point of the camera lens, and we want the center point of the camera and the center point of the um, magnification lens to line up. Which is kind of funny because, or I mean, it looks kind of funny because I've used the lens a few times on some of my other cameras. You can see if it gets offset, it's like, oh, where'd you go? So you're going to make sure it lines up right. Otherwise, it's going to look real funny. Also, with these little lenses, I have a 10 times zoom, 15 times zoom, 20 and 25. I think 10, 15, 20, and 25. So you can get some nice things going on there, but the focus point is really really close to it, which is the why there's now the point of the hinge, so you can adjust it to be whatever angle it needs to be to look at whatever you want to look at. In this case, I have a PCB holder. My nephew has a bug collection. All kinds of different cool stuff to check out. So the back end of these are exactly the same, and they snap into those goggles. So we want to measure this out. So these will just snap into the stand. Right. And again, like I said, Sydney, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Come on, there we go. All right. So the side that is going to snap into the frame is 24.13 millimeters. Let's see, I'm gonna pull up Notepad, trusty Notepad, giant Notepad. So this is the lens. and it was diameter 24.13 meters, and the camera is 18.25 millimeters, and the distance for the stand to the center of the camera is 124.6 millimeters. It's a little bit bigger, maybe. Yep. So, and this is still exporting in the background. So whenever that finishes, I'll drop that on the printer. This is 124.6. Where am I at here? Yep, 124.6. And we want to come down from the camera lens, from half of the camera, right? So be 124.6 minus 9.25, and that will be the bottom of the camera. The bottom of the lens be, oh, yep, I did the wrong thing. Don't care about that. Care about the bottom of the lens. So I'm going to subtract 12.06. Okay. 24.6 minus 12.06 is 112. What am I doing? 12.54. So that is going to be the base of this connecting ring. Now, also, though, on this connecting ring, not sure if you'll be able to see this, there are these little nubs. Yeah, I can't tell if you can see that or not. But the little nubs are what makes it snap into the goggles, right? So they're not falling out. If I rotate, they come right out. They go in, snap it in place so they don't fall out. So I want to do the same little notching trough on this. So at 112.54, I'm going to go ahead and bring this down. I'm going to duplicate this one. And then change the color of it just for now, just so I don't screw up what I had going on there. And I'll just move it out of the way for now. Okay, so I'm going to bring this down 12.5. This is going to be the base of the curve. The diameter is 24.13. So for now, I'm going to start with a cylinder. And I'm going to make it bigger than what the hole needs to be. And a hole. It's 24.3. So I'm actually going to go up just a little bit, I think. 24.2. Find these two guys. Here. Oops. Hole. Taller. All the way through. I made this 25. I'm going to go ahead and make this 30. Just so there's enough a piece there to work with. It's realigning. Whoops. Something weird. Yeah, okay. Align those. There we go. And if I group those two, we've got the initial hole. Let's see, I'm going to ungroup that. I want this, actually both of them have a lot more sides. I'm going to go like 64 sides. It's more of a circle. It's better. Again. All right. So that'll push in there. Now, you measure these little nub pieces. Zero that out. Really, really small. The width is 3 millimeters. The depth come on. It's so tiny. 1.75. I need to write these down. So the nub. Do I have cap locks on? All right. I forgot what it was. 3. Yeah, so it's 3 millimeters long. And that's not going to work. It's so tiny, it's hard to get the calipers in there. 7.5. Since yeah, the depth and the height above. Wow, that's so tiny. The height above the edge of the circle is 0.5 millimeters. All right. So with those measurements, I can make the little notches for it to go in. Let's see. Cindy says, "Is that the mother of all micrometers?" It says make, model, and price. You're asking about the calipers here? I don't know. I ordered it off of I think I got these off of Amazon, maybe? But there's not like a brand name anywhere. It just says stainless and hardened on the front. And there's a conversion chart on the back. Okay, so the nub size is here. So I'm going to make a little tiny square piece, little tiny cube piece, matching those dimensions. Over there. So this is going to be, and then I'll turn it into a hole to make a negative of it for the, I don't know, I'm pointing at the screen. Make a negative for it for the void for it to slip in there. So this is going to be 3 millimeters. And this one. Now the connector is turned sideways right now. So this is my bottom plane on this side. So the depth 0.75 and 5. Oops. I did the let's do the wrong direction. That's 3. This one is 0.5. I've got this little tiny guy here. And to align that, this one, and on the edge, and really, oh, it needs to be on the other edge. So, um, come on, there it goes. So right now the movement resolution here in the snap grid is 1 millimeter. I'm going to take that down to 0.1 millimeters. Yeah, that looks pretty good. There. Now I want to. It's got to go in and then rotate to lock. Copy. There. Make sure I'm doing this right. So it's going to go in, and I want to go back. How far does it need to go back? Zero it out. Okay. The full depth to the back of the lens is right. Yeah, 4.25 millimeters. From the node to the back of the lens. So if this was which direction am I looking at? Yeah, so this is 3. Nope, sorry, that's that direction. This way. It's 1.75. Need to go back 4.25 from the 4.25 from the edge there. So it pushes in. So this is 1.75. I moved the wrong one. Undo. Grab the other one. So that is 3.25-ish. And, whoops. Zoom in there. Yep. So that was 1.75, 3 kind of 0.25. So that's about right. It doesn't have to be perfect. It can be close enough. So once it slides in there, then just need to notch it over a little bit. I'm going to copy this one again. And there we go. So I'm going to take all 4 of these holes and actually combine them. And there's a notch on both sides. I think it's lined up with each other. I hope so. Yeah, they're lined up with each other. So I'm going to copy this one, line that back up with the other guy, and I'll just go straight across. They're lined up. Looks like it. Pretty close. So because I have a ruler here on the plane, I can actually adjust the size of the object or its distance from the 0.0 point of the ruler's location. So I know, excuse me, this guy, again, this hole was 24.2. Put those two back together. So for this copy, I need to move 24.2 minus its depth, which was zero point 0.5, so 23.7 this direction. So again, I don't know why I'm pointing and stuff because it's all kind of there on the screen. 34.20 minus, what did I say? I forgot the distance. Do this again. It's 24.2 minus 0.5. That's right. So this minus 24.2 minus 0.5. So I want to move all the way over. That worked out to be 10.5. Here, 10.5. Let's see if that's right. Hey, that worked. So, draw this together, or group it together to use the proper term in the software. So, you can see the notch. I made a mistake. I had lined it up with the back edge so the hole was into the hole. I needed to push it back into the face. So it's, let's see, I'm going to adjust the actual work plane here. And I can just use this little arrow that normally doesn't like me. Try and line it up as best as possible. I don't line it up on a curved surface. And I didn't curve the box. But the hole is still there. Group those two. Let's see. So it pushes back, and there's the gap there for it to rotate over to lock into place. I do want to give it a little bit, some wiggle room, because no matter how accurate I make the model, first of all, I'll probably have something off. But the 3D printer, the resolution, I mean, I can go pretty low. I'll probably print this out at 0 0.1 millimeters per layer, but there's still possible for the plastic to spread and all kinds of other things to happen. So the hole might not be exactly perfect, um, but I would like it to be pretty close. See, I'm gonna reset the work plane again. Bump this up just a hair, and ungroup this. And this guy, I'm going to. This is the actual like track inside. Make it a little bit wider, just so that there's some little bit of wiggle room there as to where it can start to twist. Grab all these again, make them all whole again, group them again, and duplicate it again. And I'll delete the other one on the other side because it doesn't have the same distance there. Zoom back out. Delete that guy. Grab this one. Nope. Come on. Grab the hole. family-friendly videos. All right, so now this needs to go back side. Come on. Zoom on here. And right about, oh, gotta get on the other face. That's what it was. That was the problem the first time, right? Right there. Should be pretty good. And if it's a little tight, can work it out or sand it down or whatever. Talked about some of that in the last episode, working on the hinges over here. So there are some gaps, but it's like really, really tight in the model. And I'd rather it be too tight and I have to sand it down than it be too loose and it not really tighten all the way. When you tighten with the wing nuts. All right, so group those guys. I just made another mistake. Mistakes abound. Undo this. So when I copied the hole and moved it over, so use this as an example. When you see the pin has the single clip here, right? So suppose that's like the nub. When it goes in, it's going to rotate. But the problem is with the nubs on both sides, when I move the hole over, it made it to where they can't. Right, both ends have to go in and rotate. So I need to rotate one of the holes first because you can't. Once it goes in, you can't rotate it like that because both sides would they have to rotate together. So this guy, and I can't tell if that's the right axis. Sometimes it's difficult to see the, okay, yep. So I'm going to rotate that 180 degrees, which means I'm probably going to have to fix the location on this side because now the squares have to line up. But I can do that with the alignment. Maybe. Oh no, the center's still going to be the center. That's not going to work. Okay. Get it about right. And then switch the snap. And zoom in. And go back down. Let's see if this is any better. It looks like the top squares are lined up. Those have to line up right because these line up. So when it goes in, then it'll rotate and all the oops, everything will hopefully work. Zoom in there again. And looks pretty close there. That looks pretty good, I think. Yep. All right. It was a little more involved than I expected. But now the guide and locking mechanism for the lenses in place. So that's nice. And actually, right, I'll rotate this degrees and rotate this 90 degrees. Oh, yep, there. I gotta line this up here. Now, just a minute ago, we were talking about this piece. This is at the base of where the lens should be lining up with. So this should just set right on top just fine. We'll see. Um, It's up here. Alignment tool again. Tap. And center here. Just shift this up. Right about to the edge there. So the hole is there. And I'm going to fill in some plastic around that so it's not going to be a... Actually, that looks kind of cool with the circle there. What do you think, Sydney? You like that with just the circle on top? Should I put some more support around it? What do you think about that? You know, they're in the chat. I think there's about a 45-second delay, I think we figured out on a previous episode. Let's see, so I want this to... Okay, now let's talk about distance. The closer to the lens, the better. Oops. Right, because... Don't want the flash on. Okay. So, because when you're looking at this, and the lens is right up on it, then the focus point is really, really close. But if the device moves back too far, now because of the gap, the actual circle there is... You can still find a focus point somewhere, but you see the circle and you see around the circle. I don't want that. I want this to be as close to the lens as possible. Now, there's still got to be plastic there. There's still got to be enough room for this to slide in and snap, and this has got to sit on it and all that. So, I want to make this piece thinner, but it also still has to be thick enough to support this phone, and it's a pretty big device. It's pretty heavy. I don't know how heavy. I haven't weighed it, but I can also use a lot of support on this section when it's printed too. Let's see. Actually, okay, I don't think I need this piece anymore. I'm gonna get rid of that. Also, the Genie bottle is still exporting. So I think what I'm gonna do real quick, I want to just export this ring and send it to the printer, and then maybe we can do a test fit on the lenses. That would be a good idea. Export the selected shape as an STL file. And I'll just drag and drop that over here into Simplify 3D. We haven't talked too much about orientation inside of Simplify 3D. Right now, if I tried to print like that, it would be weird and probably take a long time. It's actually better to try and find a flat surface to start from. But there are some design concerns too. For example, since the gaps are down here, I actually want to flip it around on the y-axis by 180 degrees, because you can't print in nothing. If you do, let's see, I've got some mess here somewhere. If you do, you get some kind of little like bird nest looking mess. This was from a failed print few nights ago where the actually I had to pause it because the filament got hung up on the back, and when I resumed it, it knocked the piece off. One of the pieces, there were four pieces. So when it tried to finish that one piece that it knocked off, there was nothing for the filament to actually go onto, and it just sort of like strung around together and stuck to itself. This little wadded up thing. Um, so you can't print in the middle of nowhere. We rotate it this way so the gaps are at the top, so that it won't have to try and print middle of nowhere. You can also add supports, but with a piece this small, I don't know that um, I'd be able to get the supports out, and that's got to be a pretty tight fit. So, let's see. My process settings are here. I do 0.1 millimeters. Probably, I don't know, 5-layer solid on the top and bottom. Try to make at least half a millimeter solid on the top and bottom. Infill percentage, just for now, I'm going to leave it at 10%. When I do the actual print, I'll probably do closer to 25, but I just want to kind of do this fast, even though it's still the really small layer height. Yeah, skirt, that's fine. That'll just do an outline around it first. It kind of makes sure that the filament's flowing by the time it gets to the print. Infill's fine at 10%. I don't want any supports. I could actually, so I'll show you something. If I rotate this back here, and I tell this to generate supports, and when I tell it to prepare for print, you'll see it actually filled in the hole with a bunch of support pieces. And you can see these are like really gapped across from each other and stuff, so that once it's printed, you can break it off. And this also says if I did it this way, it would take 1 hour and 19 minutes. Excuse me. Generally, the build statistics are not quite accurate, and it would take longer. Go back here, no supports. See how that says. Oh, 52 minutes. That's still a little longer than I want to wait to try that out. We said the notes go here. I'm at a 0.5 millimeter height. So really, just for testing purposes, I could go 0.25, and that would still be like 2 layers worth. Would be half a millimeter, which is the clearance we would need. So this should cut it in half or more on the time. Yeah, 21 minutes. So send this to the printer. You watch what's going on here while we're working on the other stuff. Not sure if I've got the camera in a good position. Just a little bit. So it's going to be printing a small circle in the middle of the bed there. We'll be able to see too much from that angle, but see it moving around. So still kind of stick that up there so we can watch that. And right now it's heating up the bed, and that's going to heat up the extruder, and then it'll start sending the G-code. So let's see if I slide this over here behind me. And this is just actually like one of my security cameras I have pointing at the printer. All right. It's a bit smaller. Okay, so that's gonna do that. We can do a test print. So So hopefully that'll work out. I'm gonna go ahead and add a little more plastic here so it'll a little bit more support. And the color really doesn't matter here inside the program. It's just see the different pieces. So over here. Some alignment again. Yeah. Okay. Piece go right there. Shift this over here. Come on. Oh, my. The grid was at 0.1 millimeters. Let's see now. This one's width is 18. Same here. Oh, there goes the printer moving. So just kind of eyeballing this. Let's get up here. Don't want to be inside the circle. Two pieces maybe. I like that shape. Let's see. Shove a wedge in there. What's up? Oh yeah, you can see the circle going on in there in the printer. Shaking my camera a little bit. Right, so where are we here? Move this guy over here. And up. It's 890. And yeah, 45, that's cool. Up here. Just want to kind of up a little bit. This is height's fine. It's gonna be down here. This needs to be 18. And I need to pull this out this way. Down a little bit. So it's not showing through the circle. But it is more support there. Copy that. To 180 degrees. To the other side. Just kind of filling that hole there. Oops. Nice. It's pretty good. All right, so I'm going to now merge these four pieces, group these four pieces. And, whoops, do that yet. I'll line this one up on this side. That's the side with the notches. And the thing is, I think if I move this side in, it's actually going to shrink. Did it shrink the notches? Okay, undo. Yeah, it did shrink the notches. So the notches need to stay the same size. Excuse me. But this those width here doesn't. So I'm going to ungroup again, actually, and just move this one on its own. And I think so I'm going to adjust all these pieces so that they kind of line up together. Let's see. There's that again. I want this to be as thin as possible, but still give some support. I think. Let's go to. So the lens has to go in a minimum of, yeah, 4.5 millimeters, right? So that's in, it twists, 4.5 millimeters. So if we do like 5.5 millimeters, maybe. I don't know. You can always adjust later. 5.5. I went from the wrong side. Come on. 5.5. Right there. Group the holes in the ring. And now I need to bring these pieces in line with that, and then back the whole thing up, I guess. Which isn't so bad. Let's see. Okay. Leave here. Those three. And let's see, I could actually slant that, maybe give more support at the base. I don't know. I'll just pull it back. Let's see here real quick. Take a short break. I'll put the 3D printer up here full screen, so you can see what's going on there. And I'll be right back. Run to the restroom real quick, and I'll be right back. All right. Sorry about that. Let's see, and there we go. Okay. So this is still printing. Whoa. My green screen there shifted a little bit. So we're still printing the test jig. Switch back over here. And let's see, have these three selected, gonna group those. And bring that back in line here. That's nice. That's set. There's not any weird overhangs. Looks like there might be a few artifacts here. Around in here. I don't know if you can see that in the video. And over here, these didn't quite line up just right. So I'm going to ungroup that, adjust it a little bit. Let's see, I think that's happening on all four sides. That's weird. On the two sides. Let me just bring in the width a little bit. Go down to 0.25 millimeter grid snap. Oh yeah, that's too much. I don't know, 0.1 meters. Shift over 1 or 3. Come on. Come on. There we go. Okay. Yeah, that looks better on that side. And pull this side in. Hard to see with the stuff in the way. Just a tiny bit there. All right. Now, it looks like there's sort of a visual artifact here where you can see the blue and you can see the orange. I shift it around. That means they're like lined up perfectly. Let's see here. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I group that. Looks all right. Still something kind of weird right there and right there, but I think that's just where the points come together. Always sure. Well, let's see if I can get a good look at it. Oops. I'm gonna move it. It's another odd thing about Tinkercad. It's difficult to shift around sometimes. But I think that looks pretty good. I think that's going to work. So, and that's thin enough now that the lens will push in all the way to the back. And then there's like a 1 millimeter gap between the lens and the camera. That should be pretty close. Even though I think that's going to turn out okay. The little test jig is still printing. Of course, it was before we shortened it too, so it's really tall. But that's okay. It's just a little test jig. And it is 68% done now. So that'll be done here shortly. Excuse me. So I do think I want to add some extra support right here on the bottom side. maybe with, I think just another wedge would fit best there. It's just the alignment tool again. Always using the alignment tool. There. That's fine. And there. So this guy. Come up some with me. I change the color too so that the blue against blue is easier to see. It's pretty good there. Come up. Oops. Oh no. I moved the base. See, let me lock that. Actually, let me hide everything and lock everything except for that wedge. Yeah. That way I don't actually move the wrong thing. Okay. It's up. That's pretty good. Just kind of shift this over. Just eyeballing it. This one to come up. To about there. So that gives a little more support from the weight of the phone. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I do want to try to get this front edge lined up, and I don't know if it matters about the width here. That's okay. So let's see if I can get this. Bring the resolution back down. Zoom in here real close. Right to the edge. Yeah. I don't think there's any overhang there. Cool. Grab everything. Lock it. See, I'll attach this piece to this piece for now. And oops, that height too much there. It's coming through the lens holder there. Oh, do that merge. See, we're that box. Bring it down. There we go. Right there. Perfect. Wow. Yeah, so before, before we cut this down to 5 mm in height, I don't remember what it was, but it was something crazy tall. Because that's like massive height right there. Let's see, what was it? Because it was the same width as this, I thought. Well, minus that other piece. So it was probably like 20 mm. That's crazy, because that's like... Oops, I'll pull the battery out. Yeah, that would have been nutty, because if the the lens plugged in there, a gap between there and the phone would have made a giant hole, so... or a giant area where it wouldn't have lined up. So, glad we're doing a test print. Excuse me one sec, get a drink here. And, oh, losing my screen again. There's not really anything going on behind me in that corner anyway, right now, but... technical difficulties. I don't know if the consider the green screen a technical piece. Let's see. Set up again. There we go. Okay. All right. Well, so supposing that the connector works, as you can see it printing up here, this model needs to be pulled out and broken into a couple of different pieces. So you've got the base piece, the top piece, the pin, and then 2 wing nuts. See, I'm going to go ahead and group these 3 together. We'll assume for now it's going to work. You can always go back and ungroup and adjust stuff later. So this guy, 5mm. Come over here. And this one, from over there. And this one here. So these are the 4 pieces, and I need 2 wing nuts, one for both sides. This one, the pin, it's gonna print pretty easily just along the single axis, like, oops, like so. Well, come on. Here we go. Nope. Oh my gosh. 90 degrees. There we go. Its height is 127 millimeters. I believe my 3D printer's maximum is 200, so that's both in enough room. This one will print fine, flat like it is. Tiger suggested we put some holes in the bottom of this as well, just to less plastic. Look at that here in a little bit. The wing nut, it's going to be best, most likely printed. Whoops. Come on. Zoom in here. This axis. There we go. Printed with that flat side down. So the question then is this piece. There's not really one good flat side. Could maybe, thinking about the way that the 3D printer lays down the layers, one option, oh, printer's done. One option would be to go 90 degrees this direction, but, and that would actually work really well for these, for the hinge holes, and most of the print, except for the part that we really need precision on, down here. How would that work out? Be okay, because it's still a square hole, so that might work. We'd want supports along the bottom here, otherwise it would print, you know, at an angle instead of straight across. And maybe a support here in the middle. I can also manually add supports, so it's not just where the system says to put it. That might work out if, and we can look at this some in Tinkercad, or not Tinkercad, this is Tinkercad, and Simplify 3D as well, and lay it out and see, rotate different directions and all that. But right now though, let's come back over here. Wait on the video to catch up. Are we there? Yep. Okay. So this obviously printed way too tall. So I'm glad we cut that down. Um, hopefully the resolution of the video looks pretty good. The Still a little warm. I don't want to reach over and just yank it out right now immediately because since it's a little bit warm, it might warp it. But let's see if the lens actually fits. Hmm. Let's see, maybe I can pop it off here. Oh yeah, there we go. Nice. Okay. Where? Oh, okay. Let me see. Let me switch cameras again. And come back over here. It's this. It's that. It's this. Switch here. There we go. Okay. So you can see, maybe you can see, the notch right here and one on the bottom. I set the lens down here. See if this works. Lined up just right. And the notch actually fits, but the diameter of the hole is a little too tight. I'm using this one because it's got more space to grip on the front. Let's see here. Kind of. I think that's too tight. Also with the 0.25 millimeter layers side, I think, I don't think you can see it, but the notch on this side is a little messy. Let me see, actually, if we can use the lens we're trying to modify for this to get a better look at the print itself. 10x zoom, and it'll have a close focal point. Oh yeah, that's nice. Okay, so you can see the notch there on that side. Maybe, kind of. Um, on the other side, sorry, I'm trying to rotate this just right so you can see things. It's really good on that side. You can see where the notch is right there. But on the other side, it's not so much. Um, so part of that might be how good or bad the notch is printed. But the actual hole itself is too small. And I don't think I can force it. Oops. Oh, dropped it. um, yeah, so actually that hole was a little too small. Which we had calculated at. Turn around to the side where I can see it. That's just 24 millimeters. Let's go back here and see what we did to that one. Ungroup this. ungroup this, ungroup this, ungroup this, and this guy. 24.2, and that was 24. So 24.2 is not going to work, obviously. I'm going to move the work plane back to this side. And zoom in here. So 24.2 isn't going to work. So I'm going to go ahead and, man, that means I'm going to have to adjust the other holes too. That's okay. That's okay. 24.2 isn't going to work because that's way too close. We're doing with the calipers. 0.2. Oh yeah, that was ridiculous. That's 0.2. That's nothing. So if we went to 0.75, maybe? Don't want to go too far because the little notch won't fit anymore, right? So let me go to 24.75 and just 4.75. So that's still going to be in the center of this guy, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that's still centered. Just going to group them. But now these holes need to adjust because now it's not in the plastic anymore, right? So, let's see, snap grid back to 0.1 millimeters. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Went from 0.2 to 0.75. Yeah, sounds about right. Go to off. I go just a little bit more. Yeah, right there. And this guy, zip over there. Whoa. Okay. It's gonna be all right. Do another test print, especially since it'll only be like that tall instead of that tall. That let me export just a selection. Simplify back. Rotation stuff again. Yeah, not 90, it was 180. Or, minus 90. That's what I wanted. Where to print? Oh, I need to finish cleaning off the plate here. Bed. It's got a couple of the skirt on there. Yep. All right. Or the rim rather. All right. I'm not going to adjust any of the printer settings, I don't think. Yeah, let's see. How long that says? 6 minutes. Adjust that back down to 0.1. 5 and 5. 14 minutes. That's fine. Okay. Minimize that. I'll bring the printer cam back up for you. So I'll do a test fit on that again, but let me regroup all this stuff. And I'm going to go ahead and just export this piece and look at it in Simplify 3D to see um, a couple of different options with supports and directions for printing and all that. It's a little bit easier to see in the application there. Export just a selection. While that's happening, I'm going to check on Wings 3D, see if it ever finished exporting the bottle. Did not. That's a big file. I kind of get the feeling that when import stuff into Wings 3D, it gets scaled somehow. Like, made even bigger. So then when exporting it, it's dealing with more than what got imported. So since I've already sent this to the printer and it's preheating stuff and whatever, I can actually exit preview mode and come back in here and mess around with stuff without screwing anything up, which is nice. I don't need that. I just want to drag and drop this guy over here. So printing this direction gets most of the geometry within this X and Y nice solid pieces going on. Because the thing is, the 3D printer, if you think about like a regular paper printer, right, it's going to print a single layer of text. So the 3D printer is printing single layers just over and over and over on top of each other. That's what gives it the third dimension. But if... Oh, nope, don't quit. It's bigger. If... Rotate this 90 degrees, center it. Now, that's not bad either, except I need some supports here and some supports on this end. The angle may not need any supports. That might be okay. So let's just see. Let me hit prepare to print with the existing process and see how long it says it's going to take. This is without supports, and you can actually preview here like the order of the layers as it goes. See, building the ramp, building the hinge holes. So that's 4.5 hours without supports. Let's see what it thinks it needs for supports. Oh man, that's almost 7 hours, and it added supports everywhere. This angle, right? Because inside the holes for the hinge, or on the bottom edges of the hinge, across the shelf, and then everywhere under this piece where the ramp is. And you can see the supports aren't like crazy thick or anything. They're made to be really thin and easy to break away. But see if maybe there's a better angle to print that at. Let's see. If bring that back to 0, turn on the y-axis by, oops, not positive 90, negative 90. Went this direction. That's not bad. Obviously, there'll be some supports under the ledge here and under the sections of the hinge, but then going up the rest of it should be fine. Let's see what it generates for that. Oh, wow, 10 hours and 11 minutes. That's quite a bit different than the 4 hours. Hey, Sajesh. Sajesh is joining us here on the stream. Right now, have a test jig 3D printing, and have some the pieces are all coming together nicely here for the little project we're working on. I'm just trying to figure out the best direction. Supposing this test jig works, which is testing the hole here on the end, where the lens will plug in. I'm trying to figure out the best direction to print this piece. 10 hours isn't that big of a deal. Time doesn't matter so much because the printer can run as long as there's not any major issues. This is using a lot more material. You can see material costs $2.15. That's 1,500. Oh no, sorry, 15,561.4 millimeters of filament. That's a lot of filament. If rotate this on, go back to 0. Never checked this direction. Let's see where that goes. That's actually more material because it takes more to fill the gap here, right? But the hinges look good. And the ledge looks good. That may end up being the best. There's a few supports along here on the hinges, but the actual holes the pin goes through looks good. Those are clear. Let's see. Is there a direction we haven't tried yet? We tried this side, we tried standing up, and tried this side. That's really about it, because if oops, try that way. Went this direction, that's just crazy, because then it's gonna want supports all over the place. How long that would take, though? 9 hours. It's less than the other direction. Flipped on the other side. Or no, flipped up. So I think I like this direction the best. But instead of generating the supports that way, I'm gonna add supports myself. This is pretty cool because I can say from build platform only, or I can just add support structures. If I do from build platform only, it'll only come off of the bed and up. Let's see, generate support. So see how it only did it there and there. The problem with that is these hinges be a little bit of an issue, but I can add new support structure and just add a few of my own. See, it says the support pillar resolution is 4 millimeters, which I think is why I can't put it on the outside loop. Oh, no, there it went. Okay. Get in there. So I can add some myself, right? Around in here. Around in here. To make sure those the sides of the hinge pinhole works out. And maybe one here is the charge hole. So that's not so bad. That's a lot less than what the generator wanted. I think one right there. That's pretty decent. Let's see what that does to the time. Let's see. You have material support defined in model process 1, which processing is support generator disabled. Yes, enable them. So 8 hours. That's not too bad. So that'll probably work out. I'm not actually going to print that yet, of course, because we're printing the test jig right now for the lenses. I dropped the other one. The other test print. It was too small. So when it plugged in, this side of the lens wouldn't actually fit. So the new one, we adjusted that. It looks like, though, you bring the printer's thing back up here full screen. Looks like the print's kind of screwing up there, which happens sometimes. Oh yeah, it didn't adhere to the bed. So I'm actually going to cancel that because it's just wasting the filament. That's the wrong window. This one, it's at 50%. I'm going to stop it. Jog controls. Move the axis down. I guess I could minimize some of this you can watch. Yeah, so I'm going to adjust the just down and pull this guy off. You can see there's a mess right here now. It's around here. See, it started to screw up. It didn't adhere to the bed on this side. So as that side cooled, it started to raise up, which caused it to split. Which happens. I've got a, cup here on my desk for the bad prints. Going to send that to the printer again because we really want to test that jig. See if I still have it saved. I hope so. Yeah, okay. Gonna rotate on the x-axis, -90 degrees. So again, suggest the point here with this little test print. You see it's got these notches in it. That's how the lenses have these little notches on the two sides. That's how it actually is going to attach to the stand. Let's see, I'm going to turn the supports back off. Still 0.1, 10% infill. 14 minutes. We'll see if it sticks this time. Actually, let me go back. I'm going to, since this is a small piece, and it didn't stick, I'm going to adjust the bed temperature just a little bit warmer to 70. And send that over. So here, material costs 5 cents. Total 5-cent plastic ring. The application calculates the material cost from the amount of filament, like the filament length being used, combined with at some point in some menu, I put in the cost of the spool. So I'm not sure how accurate this is because I have a bunch of different types of filament, and each one's are different prices and stuff. So Sujesh says that Mithra is watching with me. So hey Mithra, how are you tonight? Let's see, this is gonna. Oh, she said hi. This is going to reheat. You can see here the bed. Actually, it's 76 right now. It's trying to go back down in temperature, 70. And in the extruder, it's heating up at 139. Its target is 220. Oh, let's see. One of the brands of filament recommended 235. Let's see if this was that one. Nope, this is 190 to 220. So it's going at 220 as recommended. So just checking all the different possible variables as to why things don't print right all the time. And that'll kick on here in a minute. There we go. Right. So that's off and running again. Let's see if we can see the angle we're at here. A little bit of a mess going there again. You know, sometimes the printer can be finicky. Okay, there we go. Looks like it's gonna go good. All right, so really, I think that's about it for this. We just need to get this test jig printed, make sure it fits, and then I'm gonna start printing the individual pieces. So I can go ahead and export these, so we know those are the right size. This is the only one, the last thing we're waiting on. This test jig, which is the hole here. So I'm gonna export this one, and I'm gonna rename that file because these keep exporting all in the same folder, but it's like phone holder magnifier thingy 1, 2, 3. Delete those. Name this one phone holder magnifier thingy. This is the pin. Actually, I'm gonna make a folder too. Phone holder magnifier thingy. Pull up that. Okay, so phone holder magnifier thingy folder. And downloads folder. Drop the pin in there. Alright. Grab the wing nut. And this is a homemade wing nut. Started with a half of a sphere. Added the threads and added the little wings. That was a fun little guy to play with. Let's see. Show in folder. Yep. So I'm going to rename this one PHMT Wingnut. We'll have to print 2 of those. in the end. One for each side of the pin so that we can tighten it once you get it to the right angle, or loosen it and then adjust and tighten again. All right. Next is the base. Export the STL. Name this one PHMT base. And I am going to go ahead and export the other piece. Actually, let's check on the jig. Oh yeah, that's looking good this time. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and export this piece. If it's not right, we'll fix it and deal with it then. There's plenty of things to print before we get to that point anyway, so magnifier thingy. I'm going to call this the arm. There. All right. So with that, I'm going to close Tinkercad, and we can deal with the arm hole if that size isn't right. Bring up Simplify 3D. Oops, to remove that guy. I've got these 4 pieces, so for the wing nut, I'm gonna drop it in here, right? But I need 2 of them, so I would just copy and paste, and now there's 2. Pretty simple. If I needed a bunch of them, I could paste a bunch of them. So it goes off the build plate there. That's obviously not possible, but center and range makes things nice and pretty. Delete all of those. And I'm going to grab pin, drop it on, make sure everything's going to fit. Yeah. Center and range. Get the base. I don't know if the base will print with them at the same time. It's a pretty good size. Oh yeah, it fits. Now, I wouldn't necessarily want to print all 4 of these pieces together for a couple of different reasons. One, if like halfway through the wing nut they screw up and I have to stop it for whatever reason, then it wasted also the filament that happened for the pin and the filament that had gone so far for the base. Also, travel distance on each layer, and temperature of the parts and whatever kind of makes a difference too. So if there's a lot going on a single layer, there's a lot of time in between, it can cool and the layers won't stick as well and other possible potential issues. But if I wanted to, I could probably print off 4 of them on here. It's arranged just right. Would never actually do it this way, but it could be possible. Let's see, rotate this around. There, yeah. So it's possible to fit them all on the build plate. It's a little crazy. Not very practical. Oh, look at that. It's actually taller than the build area. So it wouldn't work. But anyway, just playing around. Might do the pin with the 2 wing nuts though. So if I were to do that, we don't want supports. Probably go 25% infill. Still 0.1 millimeter layer height. See about how much time we're talking. 4 hours and 34 minutes. And you can see here in the preview, if I play the preview, You can see how it does the layers on the way. And it shows the speeds too. The reason it slows down here and it was faster at the bottom is because of the distance that the travel and the time it would take to print the layer itself. Where here, if it was moving faster, there could be issues with the way it must be getting close to 11:30. I'm getting tired. The way it retracts and pushes the filament through, there could be holes and other issues. So it tends to slow down whenever you're working in a small space or um, yeah, like that. But and the preview is kind of cool too because you could pull forward and pull back and look at, here's a watch it sort of layer by layer, which is pretty cool. The little slices. But anyway, so that's not bad. 4.5 hours. I did just the wing nuts. Whoops. Hit the wrong buttons. So wing nuts. Yeah, 36 minutes. So the pin piece is probably 3.5, 4 hours or so. It adds a little more time the more pieces you put on here because of the extra distance it has to travel and all that kind of stuff. But let's see, how far along are we on this test jig? 71%. On full screen here for a little bit. Hopefully this works out. If so, then the next few days I'll let the printer run. Having the printer here in the house is fun because I don't have to like go to a makerspace or downtown or whatever or some other place to get things printed or order them online and wait. I have the camera set up so I can watch it, and if I notice there's an issue, I can remote into my machine if I'm not like right here. I also have it plugged into a smart plug, so if something is going horribly wrong, I can just completely kill power to it as a safety measure. So even if I'm like in the garage or whatever, downstairs watching a movie, I can still keep an eye on the printer and kill it if I need to. So it's a pretty fun setup. Tiger, who's come by a few times on the streams, he he's the one that I first saw set up like that. So I actually have the same camera system, I think. 78%. 79%. So once this print finishes, we'll do a test fit. If it fits, we'll be good. And I'm not gonna stream for too much longer after that, I don't think. It is getting kind of late. Gotta get up early tomorrow. Gotta get a bunch of stuff done. So we'll see how this goes. My filament stock right now, I've got some stuff that was in the old makerspace that flooded with Hurricane Harvey. Usually there's all kinds of stuff online about like how to properly store filament and keep it away from moisture and high humidity and other temperatures and all this kind of stuff. But I've got some that sat. So in the makerspace, the second story flooded to about waist deep, and which was just below the tabletops that were up there. And I had filament on the tabletops up there, and it was flooded there for at least 5, 7 days. So high humidity, because I mean it's rain, right? 100% humidity basically. and I've got a bunch of filament that was there, and it still seems fine. Seems to print okay. I've printed some bottles the other day, or a couple days ago, and everything seemed to work out all right. The I do have one spool of red filament that was there. It feels a little more brittle than usual on the spool, but it prints just fine, and the prints feel normal. So I don't know if that's just, it could have been the brand, or it could have been whatever. With it sitting in storage after Harvey, I had it in all the different filament in at my parents' house for a while, and then it was in storage for a while, and all these different things while we were fixing the house up and stuff. But anyway, stock right now, I've got some dark green, some bright yellow, a couple of different reds, black, glow in the dark, which is cool. It looks white, a little translucent, glows in the dark. I have two spools of wood filament, which is there's it's like plastic and sawdust to make the filament, and whenever printing with it, it actually smells like a wood shop, which is kind of cool. I also heard, I've never tried this, but I heard you can 3D print like a cube or a cylinder or something, and then use a knife and whittle it if you had some kind of a, uh, like whittling a stick, I guess. What else do I have over on the shelf? A couple of different types of gray, like a gunmetal gray and a battleship gray. I think it's a cool name. um, some regular yellow, different green, a bright green, like the bright green on the spool holder back here. Um, and I think I've got some more in a box in the storage closet too. So lots of filament. There for a while, I was getting a monthly filament, or a monthly box from who was it? 3dgeeks.com or something like that, maybe. And it always came with 2 or 3 spools of filament, as well as some kind of a tool, like at this spatula thingy that helps get the prints off. Um, it's okay. It's pretty flexible though. Sometimes it's hard to use. Um, I got a extruder cleaner one time with one of the sets. That was pretty neat. It was basically like a needle on a wire, because you shove it in there when it's really hot and it pokes the plastic through. Um, what else? I don't know, but each box also came with a project. So like one time it came with some uh, skate wheel bearings and designs for making spinners. Um, Other times it came with this really cool like army green color, which, oh yeah, I've got that army green color, and some little like military figures to print out. So let's see, let this cool down just a little bit. So see, that actually took 17 minutes. There's a screen here on the front. You can kind of see the light shining through right here from the back side of it, but it shows the print time, how much filament was used, and all that. The Simplify 3D had said, I don't think I have the piece here anymore. I deleted it. It said 14 minutes, and I don't remember how much filament was used. But like I said, the estimates are usually low because it said 14 minutes. It actually took 17. You can imagine if it says 6 hours, it could actually mean, a heck of a lot more, because like what it said 14 and it was 17, so it was 3 minutes off, and that was just in that short of a time. So if it's gonna say an hour, and it also depends on the print and all that kind of stuff. So it's just an estimate anyway to begin with, right? So let's see that. So let me see if I can get that up. Try and get up under the edge here a little bit. The other one was a lot taller, so it was easier to just grab it and pull it off. Do this without messing up the little test jig. There we go. Right. Print looks pretty good. Switch scenes here again. See what all's going on. Try to see what's going on. Okay, so the ring's bigger this time, right? And where the hole in the center is. I can use the 10x lens. Give you a good shot of the edges here. See the notch there? Looks pretty good. Up on the where's it, like right here by my finger. Oops. I don't know if you can see that or not. Both sides look all right-ish. Let's give this a shot. Oh, look at that. That is beautiful. Rotate it over. Oh yeah, look, it's in there good too. I'm gonna rotate back and it pulls right out. Oh, that's perfect. Amazing. Goes right on. Rotate over. Now it's locked. That's great. I love it. And just to show again on the other one. Line it up. There we go. Right there. Rotate it. It's locked. Check that out. That is cool. Success. Nice. So again, the phone will sit in the on the stand. It'll be lined up like that. And now I can simulate. Then the lens will just slip right in. Whoops. Just slip right in here. And lock in place. And that'll be right up against right there. Oh, that's perfect. See if I can the camera again. No flash this time. You can see it takes up the entire screen, or as much of the screen as it can. And it's got that really close focal point. So, cool. And then just snapped right in. I love it. Exciting. I gotta get it back out. There we go. Let's see, where did the 10x go? Slide that on there. Snap it in. 10x zoom. Nice. The focal point right about there. Yep. Cool. All right. Success. And it only took 2 late nights and some extra math. So cool. All right. Well, if you like what you're seeing here, please like and subscribe. Um, I do a live episode every Thursday night, 9 p.m. Central Time. Sometimes the episodes are an hour. Here, the last 2 weeks, it's been about 2.5 hours. Um, I might edit this one down a bit to post on the actual playlist, but I don't know. We'll see how that goes. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, criticisms, please leave a comment, send me a message, whatever you think. In an upcoming episode, or the next few episodes, I have a few different things to work on. Um, in episode 3, I think it was, um, we did some brainstorming, or 4, I don't know now. We did some brainstorming on taking a .NET website, breaking it up into a couple of different pieces with their own subdomains, and then creating a WordPress main website. I'm going to be putting that together here pretty soon. We did all the brainstorming for that in an episode. I'm going to put it together and then maybe walk through some stuff with that in an episode. Also, Sajesh, who stopped by earlier, had mentioned something about using my face in a 3D print. Um, Previously, I had an Xbox 360 Connect, and I had it actually hooked up to the computer with um, had a stand for it that I had 3D printed, and had a turntable so I could actually set it up, 3D scan something like you could 3D scan this pair of scissors, and then have the model into the computer and manipulate it and then 3D print something. So I think one of the episodes um, I'm gonna get another Connect, maybe an Xbox One Connect this time. They have a little better resolution, and there's, I think, some of the software uh, uses the better quality hardware a little better now too. Um, but I want to run through that setup process and do some scanning and stuff. Um, and because it's really interesting, because when it scans, it creates a point cloud, and it will do one side, then you rotate a little bit and do it again, rotate a little bit, do it again, and you connect it all together, and it makes a mesh. And then from there, you can manipulate things and whatever. So that might be a cool project. Previous video, I mentioned I made a standing desk for work, and I do want to make another one for the house. So maybe we'll end up in the garage doing some woodworking on an episode. Some other programming stuff coming up, So there's always fun stuff going on here on Jeremy Makes Stuff. Um, if there are certain things, certain topics or projects you're interested in, um, send me a message. Let me know what you think, what we're doing here. Um, if you have any questions or have some ideas, let me know. I'm always open to ideas in the comments as well during the episodes. Last episode, Tiger talked about the base of this phone stand thing, adding some holes to it so it's not going to use as much plastic. I didn't edit that yet. I'll probably go back in and edit that before I actually print the pieces. So it takes feedback from people in the chat, ideas, all that kind of stuff. It's a lot of fun, collaboration, um, and it's helping keep me focused on a project instead of getting sucked into a YouTube black hole of whatever alien conspiracies and Bollywood movie trailers or something. Um, but anyway, so I guess that's it for tonight. If Yeah, so have a good evening and see you next time.